questions gonna still be in the interview, or do you want me to repeat the question?
No, I'm gonna be with you. LA Sunshine, what's up, baby?
Ain't nothing, bro. I'm coolin'.
Listen, man. First of all, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to come.
Not a problem.
And talk to you, man. It's really, and I mean this. I'm gonna tell you to your face as a man.
Okay.
You understand that when y'all started, when you started.
77.
1977.
Yes.
Okay, but when the Heartbeat came out, Yes We Can came, when y'all really got known.
We started recording. In 79.
79.
Yeah. First, the new rap language for our first joint. The flip side of Spoonie G's Love Rap.
So y'all was on the other side of Spoonie G's Love Rap.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So 79, LA, I'm 10 years old. Okay. I'm growing up. I'm living in an all-white neighborhood in Jersey.
Okay.
All the white kids is on Led Zeppelin,
Right.
Rolling Stones, AC/DC, and that wasn't really my thing. But it was y'all, man. It was this hip hop thing where I was able to, in you and looking at you, I was able to see me.
Right. No doubt.
And y'all instantly became fucking heroes for me, man. And I want to tell you that
I appreciate
face to
it.
face,
I
you know,
appreciate
man to man, man. And I'm excited about this interview. So listen, man, we over in Harlem. Where did you grow up, man?
Right here. 129th Street, St. Nicholas Terrace, Convent Avenue. Man, I used to live downtown, 129th Street, Convent. That Kumo D Wild Wild West joint. This is it right here. It's the Wild Wild West.
Okay, 129th and Convent.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I mean, to be 100% factual, 129th Street, when he says I used to live downtown, 129th Street, that's my address. He lived on 128th Street.
So Kumo D lived on 128th, but you was really on 129th. Now what about Special K?
K's from the Bronx.
Special K from the Bronx.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, LA Sunshine, all New York City public schools?
Yes, sir.
Where'd you go to elementary school?
Right around that corner, 130th Street in Convent Avenue.
What's the name of it?
John H. Finley, PS 129.
PS 129. Okay. Where'd you go to?
I went to middle school, a school called Roberto Clemente, School of Performing Arts Middle School. I was the first graduating class. My official, what they deem as education, was completed there. I didn't go to high school.
Okay, so after that, you didn't go to high school. Why not?
School wasn't for me. I'm so glad I didn't go.
Okay.
I need to be taught and indoctrinated with all that garbage.
Okay.
It was a lesson for me.
Okay.
I mean, I did get I got a GED.
Okay.
But I didn't get what they deem a formal education, and I'm glad I did.
Right, and we can do another interview on that because I did an interview entitled "Self-Reach Education versus College Education."
Right,
you
exactly.
know, really, what you self-reach,
right.
you retain more than what you forced.
That's the street that I come from. I'm blessed to be able to say that I didn't go to high school. I wouldn't ask little kids nowadays because I work in the educational system now, and I don't encourage them to not go to high school. But it was something that I did because school wasn't for me, and hip hop had just popped off. And by the time I was 15, we was doing shows and performing, so it just validated my desire to not go to high school. But I got my GED when I was supposed to be in 10th grade.
Okay. LA, how old are you now?
56.
56. Okay. Now, what kind of were you into sports as a kid? What was it like? LA? What was LA Sunshine like as a kid? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old.
I was into basketball in the hood. The neighborhood that you see that I was born and raised in was totally drug infested. I mean, not from a negative standpoint, but any kind of drug infestation is negative. But street cats, remember this is Central Harlem right here. You had the Nicky Bonzes and cats of that ilk from that generation that had a delible impression on all of my younger, counterparts, all the cats that I grew up with.
So in the 1970s.
Yeah, so they grew up even as young as we were. We were influenced by drug dealers and the hood per se. My older brother was heavy in the game. A lot of my relatives were heavy in the game, so I kind of like teetered on, being part of that life. But I never gravitated to it, so I was never really interested in drug dealing. But all of my friends and family, for the most part, that I connected with was drug dealing.
All right, now LA.
Yeah.
I remember coming over to Harlem in the 70s, and 80s, and here we are, 2020, and Harlem is much different than what it was back then. Talk about the Harlem you grew up in the 70s and the early 80s, man, the New York City that you grew up in.
I mean, there's so many elements and aspects of that. Well, obviously, as you mentioned, the gentrification was nowhere near.
There's a lot more white people up here now than it was then.
I mean, I used to kid myself, and I spoke to my cousin about it recently, that this exact location, this bench that I'm on now, there's a college, City College of New York, right there up the hill. It begins right up at the top of this hill on 130th Street. So it's always been an influx of Caucasian people coming out because they getting college education. So we periodically see somebody walk up and down here. You never, you take maybe, you can go, I used to kind of time it, you could go 3, 4, 5 hours, see one of them, pass through, hurrying.
Yeah, because it wasn't safe back then for them to be
walking.
walking.
Train station right down the block, so that was their mode of transportation to getting to and from school. So they had to, trek this hill. But for the most part, they was cool. Because they was college students. But just on GP, hey baby, on GP, you couldn't just feel comfortable just coming out there and sit. But now the transformation has progressed from one every 4 or 5 hours. You can't go literally a minute without seeing a white person up here.
Yeah.
So that's just how profound the gentrification is now.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. I saw it coming a long time ago.
Yeah. Same thing going on over in Jersey, man. Jersey City, Newark.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's Hoboken. I mean, it's all out of reach now. LA Sunshine, you got brothers and sisters. You grew up one parent household, 2-parent household.
No, it was just me, my moms, and my 3 brothers. I got 3 brothers, biological brothers, I say.
Okay, you come from money? You come from a lot of money?
Nah, not at all. Not at all. Nah, meager means, man. When I was 12, 13, that's when I began my little street hustle. I guess I was never selling drugs, but I was a gambler. I gambled at 12, 13 years old.
Okay, what you was doing?
I would house CeeLo games, dice for the most part. Yeah, I was known for just playing dice, man. Should have stopped me from going to a couple of shows because I get in the park and we start throwing them bones.
It's over.
It's over. Yeah. I used to support myself, via gambling.
Okay. LA, who had the biggest influence on you? Not necessarily musically or whatever. Who had the biggest influence on LA Sunshine as a kid and coming up through the ranks?
Well, it is musically. Because of one, my brother, he did leave a indelible impression on me.
Your brother was in the music game?
No, he was, like I said, he was.
He was a hustler.
Yeah, he was hustling, stone cold hustling. Him and his crew. But aside from that, musically, it was DJ Hollywood once we flipped into the hip hop game. But prior to that, it was of course Michael Jackson and hierarchy in music, R&B world. Because I'm cut from an R&B cloth. I was doing talent shows from 3rd, 4th grade. I was always making choreography, so I was destined to be in the entertainment business in some form, shape, or another. Guaranteed.
LA, jail time, prison time, any of that for you? No felony conviction?
Knock on wood. I mean, I did have some unforeseen circumstances dealing with unemployment. It took me, till I was 48 years old to get locked up for, some unemployment case that they charged me for not paying some unemployment back or whatever, something like that. I went to spend 2 nights in jail, but I'm proud to say, man, 56 years old, I ain't never been locked up a day in my life.
Ain't no doubt.
I wear that with a badge of honor.
Ain't no doubt. Coming up in this environment and as a black American male, that's rare.
Yeah.
All right, so now you just spoke on DJ Hollywood. LA Sunshine, tell the people the first hip-hop, your first encounter with hip-hop, man.
It was,
what year?
In '77, everybody was DJing. It was like a powder keg. Hip hop was a powder keg that was about to explode. Because the inner city wasn't a good look at the time. It wasn't a pleasant place. So all the kids of my generation, we didn't have an outlet. We didn't have. They was closing centers. They was closing school,
summer programs,
and this, that, and the third. So we had to make our own way. And right off the tails ends on the fringes of the 60s revolution, we still had a voice, and we needed to express that voice. And fortunately, we found a way to make that happen and for it to come to fruition, and it came to fruition via hip hop. But the pinpoint time when I decided to go hard body with hip hop was when I seen DJ Hollywood. I seen DJ Hollywood at an R&B concert.
Where at?
At the Apollo Theater. He performed an intermission performance for the Whispers, and I'll never forget it to this day. I mean, I mention it anytime I speak, glaringly at my man Hollywood, because if it wasn't for him, it would be no me. The brother got on. He didn't even get on stage. Wasn't even on stage. That's how small and infant hip hop was. He was in front of the stage on the corner. They closed the curtains in the middle of the show for the intermission, and they just put a spotlight on him. And he said, "Good evening, I'm DJ Hollywood, and welcome to the world famous Grand Apollo Theater. And it's time for me to make it bad." He threw on the Apache, boom, bop, bop, boom, bop, boom, and the place went bizarre because I got goosebumps in my whole body, and I just knew that was just something that I was going to do. I was going to be what he was doing.
LA, you was there. From your perspective, from your viewpoint, from your vantage point, where did hip hop start, and who was the spark?
I mean, like I said, with hip hop being a powder keg, and this may sound like some politically correct nonsense, but it's not. It is what it is. There's no shape, form, or fashion. It's impossible. It's an impossibility for hip hop to start at one place. DJing was going on before cats turned it into hip hop. Now you got two people that are revered and are recognized for the inception of hip hop, at least the terminology. One is God bless my man Love Bug Starsky, and
what happened to Starsky?
God bless the dead. He passed away last year.
Get out of here!
Yeah.
Oh man!
I love the bug. Yeah, no doubt. He's gone. He's in a physical form, he gone, but I mean, his legacy gonna live on.
Ain't no doubt.
You can't, even though a lot of cats don't know it though, you can't even have a hip hop discussion
without Love Bug Starsky. Okay.
So, but hip hop, the term hip hop, come from Starsky and Keith Cowboy, member of the Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. He would just say hip hop, hip hop, hip hip hip. He was doing the hip hop thing, and he was doing more of a Army cadence kind of thing, hip hop, like that, and it just morphed into being what we know as hip hop now.
Now, LA Sunshine, clarify for me and correct me if I'm wrong. Public opinion is that
it started in the Bronx and
1520 Sedgwick Avenue, DJ Kool Herc in the Boogie Down Bronx.
But even during that time frame, it wasn't considered a hip hop party. It was Kool Herc DJing. Now, and again, I don't slight or take no credit from my forefathers, such as the Hercs and the like. But it's just a multitude of people that galvanized this thing called hip hop and brought it to its prominence.
Okay.
Love you back, baby.
LA Sunshine, give me your top 5 MCs, man.
They all old school because I don't even listen to hip hop.
Yes, from whatever's on your heart.
I don't even want to admit this, but Mo D's still the baddest MC to ever touch a mic. And I know that because I know him personally. I know his work ethic, I know how serious he takes it. That's just me personally. But then you have cats like Kane, Cool G Rap, Rakim, cats that are cut from a lyrical cloth. If you're not really saying nothing, it's hard to wet my palate. It's hard to keep me engaged. Anybody can make a record, but it's not the same, and it's not as sustainable as your lyrical prowess. So the majority of my stuff goes based on what it is, what you're saying. If you're saying something, then I'm engaged. If not, you ain't touching me, because anybody can make a fly beat. But all of them, the cats that I just named, those would be along with my man Chuck.
LA Sunshine, let's talk about the Treacherous 3. How did it all come together? Kool Mo D, LA Sunshine, and Special K. What year and how y'all get together? Well,
like I said, I mean, hip hop being the powder keg that it was during that time frame. You got to remember in '77, when we had the blackout, everybody took advantage of that opportunity to become instant DJs overnight. Because let's just say when the lights is out, you get to delve into, all of the electronic stores, all the crazy. So everybody and their moms was a DJ, at the end of that, after the blackout. But K, myself, and Mo, Well, actually, the original, the Treacherous 3 started prior to the title and name, the Treacherous 3. We were part of a group called the Fantastic Four with DJ Reggie Reg, DJ Crazy Eddie from Fearless 4 fame, DJ Easy Lee, who lived right here across the street, myself, Kumo D, and a couple of the other neighborhood brothers. It was called the Fantastic Four. Then we had to make it a Fantastic Four Plus because you got hangers on and other cats that are associated and affiliated with the crew. But we were just one of the many hip hop groups or DJ crews that was just sprouting up. Because like I said, with that powder keg happening, we needed a vehicle to express ourselves, and that afforded us the opportunity to be able to do that. Fortunately enough, we just had more staying power because we were blessed with the ability to be just a little bit more polished than everybody else. Let's just say that, because again, you had a DJ in this building, you had a DJ in that building, you had a DJ down the block. We just had some staying power. We took it that much more seriously. We knew that we had something when we formed the Fantastic Four and bled it into the Treacherous 3. Treacherous 3 came about once we became when it was time to start doing some recording.
Now, Ellis, y'all did some shit with Spoonie G early in the beginning too, right?
Well, unbeknownst to most cats, Spoonie G is original member of the Treacherous 3. The original Treacherous 3 is Spoonie G, Kumo D, and myself. That's the Treacherous 3. Then Spoonie G went and did his solo joint.
Yeah.
And left a void, and we filled that void with Special K from Bronx. Special K came about because he went to school with Mo D, with the high school. And he was walking around the high school doing his MC thing. Mo was doing his MC thing. We needed that Spoonie G void filled, and Special K fit the bill.
The first record you guys pressed, Treacherous 3, which one was it?
It's called The New Rap Language, the fast rap. It's, in 1979, the whole song was just speed rapping. And again, not to kick no dirt on nobody, it's just funny to me, like cats be like, yo, this cats did this speed rapping, and what's the cat name? The cat from Chicago. Twister and Buster and cats,
Y'all have been doing that.
And the record speak for itself. I've been doing that since '79.
Okay.
But I'm just not gonna get on no milk crate and go, no, hey, it was me. If you really a hip hop historian and you appreciate your lineage, you would know that.
Well, that's why we're here, man. That's why we're here to clear this shit up with you. Listen, now, I remember Feel the Heartbeat. Tanya Gardner had the Heartbeat joint out. Y'all came out with the hip hop joint, and it was over after that.
I always like to apologize to Tanya because we just straight jacked her joint and
didn't compensate her.
Did what we. She was compensated, but I'm talking about her record. Her record was hot at the time.
Yes, it was.
But when we dropped the Heartbeat joint, it kind of made it fall by the wayside in most circles because I was superseded her in popularity really quickly.
Yeah.
But it was a mean joint, obviously, because that's what we used, and kind of like that was the launching pad. Once we did the Heartbeat joint, it took us to another level.
Okay, now let's talk about that other level. Did you guys sign did you have a record deal with a company? And would you
Bobby Robinson, Enjoy Records, that was the first record label we were affiliated with. An older gentleman from Harlem. He had a record shop down on 125th Street, but Bobby was making records prior to hip hop. He was in the record business, the majority of his life. When we met him, he was an older gentleman. But he afforded us the opportunity to cut a track because that was Spoonie G's uncle. So we had an inroad into that, but we weren't even the first group that he recorded because remember, hip hop was this brand new fad that was popping off, and he snatched Grandmaster Flash. Well, didn't know. It would be 100% concise. He snatched Funky 4+1 off the streets and laid a record with them that was rapping and rocking the house. Then Grandmaster Flash and Furious 5 recorded, and then Treacherous 3 came after that.
Okay.
But Spoonie G had recorded prior to that on a different label, and he did a solo project. And like I was talking about earlier, when Special K, we filled the void with Spoonie leaving, with Special K, Spoonie G wound up coming back, wanting to continue the group, the Treacherous 3. We had a third member already, so we just kind of made it Spoonie G and the Treacherous 3 since Spoonie G had established a solo and individual name already.
LA.
Yeah.
And you touched on an awesome point. You said that hip hop was a fad, and I remember that constantly being repeated. This shit ain't gonna last.
Right.
what is this?
Right. And I think what the detriment to that is our elders, you know, our older guard, for the most part, all of our scholars and the like, they didn't embrace hip hop. You know, our older cats, you know, say like what the cats in the street embraced it to an extent, and that's cool. You know, they because it's music oriented, it's music related to cats in the hood, they can relate to it. But I'm talking about cats that are cut from a scholarly cloth, you know. In academia circles, they didn't embrace it. They shunned it. They shunned hip hop, and you know, viewed it as just a fad and something that wasn't viable, that didn't have no real staying power. But I really believe that if we were embraced by the cats that preceded us, that was coming fresh out of the '60s, that had that revolutionary mentality, we could have harnessed what we had and taken it in a different direction much earlier than we did.
Right, now let's stay there. I want to stay there. That being said, the record contracts, the publishing and the points and all of that for you early pioneers, being that hip hop was just disrespected.
Well, it's twofold. It's twofold with that, because like you said, hip hop was definitely being disrespected, shunned, and dismissed as a fad. You couple that with the music industry as a whole, because music industry is the grimiest business in the world. You know, cats don't like me saying it, but it is what it is.
It is.
How many stories do you hear about artists that got jerked, or artists, even to this day, you talking about artists that ain't getting their proper compensation and they paper? So, you know, back then during the hip infancy stage, you talking about close to 100% of the people that were making hip hop records at that time was kids. So we were exploited and taken full advantage of. I was 15 when I signed, 16, I think, something like that, when I signed my first contract. Never received a royalty check. You know, so we were taken to the cleaners by Bobby Robinson, as well as Sugar Hill Records. But that's just, as whack as it is, that's just what the business is. I mean, I grew to learn that throughout the music industry, that's what the premise of the music industry is. It's just based on that. So I found out early in the game that wasn't something that I wanted to do, because I was, like I said, I had a street component and element to my nature and to my persona. I just was never the kind of cat to just think it ain't all right to just take my money. You just, look how young I am. I had a Napoleon complex too, as I was always a little cat. You ain't gonna just take my money and think it's all right. So I haven't had a lot of encounters with record producers and record labels and such.
LA Sunshine, where did your record career, Treacherous 3, take you as far as travel and shows? Where did you name some of the places it took you?
I mean, I done been all over this country. That's at least 8 times, 10 times, every place in the country.
East Coast to West Coast?
Yeah, you name it. I've been
down south, up north?
Any major city I've covered, because I mean, the fortunate thing about the Treacherous 3 specifically is we were able to piggyback off of Kumo D's career that, you know, continued on after the Treacherous 3 had kind of
into the late 80s.
Right, late 80s, when hip hop really kind of came to prominence.
Right.
Main stage. But prior to that, we performed in various states. We went down south a couple of times for some touring during 79, 80, 81. Again, and it wasn't as widespread and or popular, or wasn't even that well received. I remember the first show that we did with I think it was the Ohio Players or something like that. I forget exactly what group it was. We did a show and we were the only group on the show that had turntables. And I remember vividly when we were about to perform, and they were expecting to see a band, you know, and it didn't go over too well because they didn't receive that. It was like, what the hell is this? What's this Zugga Zugga? What's this? We need to see, you know, some cats being funky, because their expectations were that we were a band. I remember that vividly, man. Like, it was an interesting dynamic and interesting transition during the early stages, because it was so foreign to other cats. They appreciated the music, but they didn't know, they couldn't make sense of how it was being disseminated.
I was listening to Yes We Can on the way over here from Jersey, and your message, Kumo D's message in that song, even Special K, all three of y'all, you guys were, it was uplifting, man. The lyrics you talk about, you guys spoke life.
Right.
Versus what they speak today, which they speak a lot of death and a lot of low vibration. Now, listen, I want to add some color to this because New York at that time, in the late 70s, 80s, the violence and the murder rate in this town was crazy. Yet you guys weren't speaking on that, as opposed to now, the murder rate and the violence is not as vicious as it was then, and this is all they speak about.
Well, we spoke on it, we just didn't glorify it. It's the difference between the two. Like, we definitely spoke on it because it was prevalent and it existed. It wasn't something that we tried to hide, but we spoke on it in a positive light. You know, we just...
Okay.
We just spoke on it in a positive light as much as we could. Songs like Yes We Can, While We Hit Your Head Hard, We'll Make Your Body Rock. You know what I'm saying? It's just something, we're going to give you something to think about, but we're going to let you groove too.
Now, after you guys made Yes We Can, Feel the Heartbeat, did you guys continue on? Did you try to get a new contract or?
Well, it went like this. We were on the Enjoy. We was on the contract with Bobby Robinson of Enjoy Records all the way up until we recorded the song. I think it was Boogie in Your Body, and that might have been the fifth track, the fifth single that we did. But by that time, I was totally disgruntled about the record business, about that record label, about Mr. Robinson himself, and I knew that if I stayed in that business, I was gonna hurt something. Because, like I said, I had the street. I was a wildcat. I just had. I mean, looking back, the terminology or the perception is that I was a wildcat. I wasn't a wildcat. I was just about my business. You ain't gonna just take mine and think it's okay.
You staying on your square.
Right. So after we recorded the last song, I just made a conscious decision that I was not going to record no more records with Bobby Robinson. He knew he pretty much had ran its course with us, and he wasn't going to do nothing, that we weren't going to do anything, and he wasn't going to be able to make no more money off us. So he sold our contract to Sugar Hill Records. So it's not as if we went from one record label to another. We were kind of like, we went to another label by default on both fronts, from his side and our side, because I wasn't going to make no more records with him. He wasn't going to make no more money out of us. He figured he'd cash it in and sell our contract to Sugar Hill. That's how we wound up on Sugar Hill Records.
Okay. Now, Ellie, this is how I feel, man. Me personally. Because I've been around this thing called hip-hop since it started.
Okay.
I don't care how much money an MC or artist may make today, if this what they call it trap music or some shit now, whatever they call it. But a Jay-Z, a Puffy, a Tupac, a Biggie, none of them, in my opinion, and I'm saying this, LA, this is me, can ever say that they better than LA Sunshine. Because it's like this. Nigga, he made the way when it was no way for you to get the way. The foundation was laid by these people. Because what you got today, and the fact that you are an MC, you are that because you heard LA Sunshine.
I mean,
speak on that, man.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, but I mean, it's not that I waffle on my perspective and or intimidated to express myself at all, but it is what it is. There would be no them if there was no us.
Ain't no doubt.
But at the same time, if I articulate that information, or if I just make that expression, I'm viewed as a disgruntled old MC. Old school niggas, they mad because we ain't popping. I mean, I just like to view it as we the roots of the tree, man. I mean, the tree, every tree, when these trees are on these corners, it's a bunch of roots under the ground, and it's holding it and making that tree as strong and sustainable as it is. And if it wasn't for the roots, the tree wouldn't be as viable as it is.
Exactly, and I'm saying it. So, I said it.
I'm just one of the roots.
Yeah. Now, listen, did you see in 79, 78, hip-hop being what it is now, man?
No, I'd be lying if I said I did. I did think it was a vehicle for expression, and I thought it was a necessity. It was a necessary vehicle for expression, just for just for kids that didn't have no other expression. You know, we didn't have no vehicle. We had no way to express ourselves. We had no way to even, you know, do something positive, period, other than gravitate towards gangs and hustling and drug selling and such. It just gave us a different lane. Me being cut from an entertaining cloth all my life. What's up, baby? I've always been bitten by an entertainment bug. I knew I would be an entertainer in some capacity or another, regardless, because like I said, I was doing choreography at a very, very early age. But did I see hip-hop itself blossoming into a multi-billion-dollar industry?
International.
No. And I don't think none of us did at the time. You might have had one or two cats that had the foresight to, you know, to go, oh no, we could take this to another direction, to a higher level in another direction. But for the most part, cats weren't, because anybody you wasn't during that time. If anybody was looking at it from that perspective, you weren't doing hip hop what we deemed as hip hop during the time. Because what we did as hip hop, we was doing it just for the love. As cliche-ish and corny as it sounds, we was doing it for the love. Our first performance, I got paid pizza. Wasn't even thinking about it. It wasn't even like, no, this is something that was embedded.
Yo, that's dope. That's dope, LA.
It's real talk.
That's dope, man.
So we wasn't like, oh nah, let's make some music and let's become DJs and MCs and we gonna become filthy rich and galvanize and change the fabric of the world. Nah, we wasn't thinking that. We was like, yo, let's go. We going to party. We're gonna have some fun. And that's what we did. We looked at having fun. We looked at it from that space, from that mentality. But as it grew gradually, grew, I figured that it would. Hold on.
Sorry about that, yo. We gotta get me.
I appreciate you, fam.
Thank you, man.
Yep. No doubt.
Hey, LA, that's dope, man. That's dope, and that's why the hip hop was better back then than it is now. I mean, because the more of the love and the soul was in it, man.
It sounds,
that shit ain't corny, LA. That shit real, man.
It was more organic. It was more authentic. It was done for a different purpose, like, because now it's monetized, it's commercialized, and I get it, because it does feed a lot of cats, and so it has its benefits in that regard. But the authenticity and the organic nature of what hip hop actually represents in its core is missing for the most part of what people deem hip hop. 90% of what people even consider hip hop ain't even hip hop.
What is hip hop, LA?
Hip hop is a lifestyle, man, and if you take...
Oh, no. This is the better question. What was hip hop in the 70s and 80s, man?
It was a lifestyle, and it still is. It still, it allows us, anybody, not just us, because it's not boxed in at all. It's given us an avenue for expression. A different form of expression. It's become a multi-billion-dollar music genre, and it still is hip-hop, but most of what the hip-hop is not as widespread as it should be. That majority of the stuff that you see, that's commercialization, exploitation of the hip-hop culture. It's not hip-hop. I give you an example. Love and Hip Hop, the TV show Love and Hip Hop, it had nothing to do with hip-hop. You got cats that say, I'm the hip-hop preacher, or I'm the hip-hop, I sell the hip-hop store on 25th Street that sell clothes, and they just say hip-hop gear. You're taking advantage of the nature of what hip-hop, the essence of what hip-hop is, because the term hip-hop, if you link that to anything, it almost validates everything now. And it's almost contrasting what it was back then. Back in the day, you put hip-hop on something, it was almost taboo. Like I mentioned about our elders back in the day, like hip-hop, oh no, and
they shunned it.
Right, they shunned it. And now, even now, to this point, to this day, it has a negative connotation. But why is everybody so quick to attach the term hip-hop to something just to validate it? So hip-hop is a way of life, it's a lifestyle, and it's not what the perception of what hip-hop is on so many levels.
LA Sunshine, man, on that note, man, we're gonna wrap this interview up, how can people get in touch with you? Are you working on any new music? We want some new song. We want some new lyrics from LA Sunshine, man.
Quite honestly, I doubt it very seriously. I touched on working with Mo. You know, I've been working with Mo D. You know, we were lucky enough to be able to piggyback off his solo career, so we still perform on a regular basis anyway. You know, unbeknownst to most cats. And they say that's the true essence and the depth.
See, I didn't know that.
Core of hip hop. I mean, most cats don't know, but unfortunately, because if it ain't on BET or Hot 97, if we don't have them validating us or making us relevant, then we're not. But unfortunately, I'm not the kind of cat that's gonna get on the milk crate and go, yo, you know what we doing? I'm doing this. We doing a talk show right now. I'm about to, you know, co-producing a talk show with Cool Mo D called Freestyle that we perform regularly. We just did a gig out in Atlantic City. We're on our way to, I mean, I don't even know where the next gig is, but we perform regularly. But if you're not in that particular circle of hip hop, you would think that, oh, I wonder what them old school cats doing. I had one cat tell me, yo, didn't you used to be LA Sunshine? Like, fuck, am I dead? Like, but I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So it's troublesome in the sense that a lot of cats cling and they gravitate and they latch on to hip hop, but they don't really know what hip hop is. You know, they just they I think exploit the culture.
Ain't no doubt.
To its core, man, and it kind of troubles me. So that's part of the reason why, for the most part, I don't do interviews. And again, I ain't mad at nobody. I just got a different spiel on it, and I'm not the kind of cat that's gonna get on the milk crate and just break it down to you. But if you want to know, if you want to take time to listen and get that information, I'm available.
Yeah. Shout out to my man Joey Time too for hooking this interview
no doubt.
up.
Joey Time, that's my brother from another mother. I've been a Jersey City resident since mid '80s, man. That's my brother, man. I liken myself to a Duncanite, man. I'm a Duncanite.
Okay. Hey, LA, man, listen. This is another highlight of my YouTube career, man.
Okay.
Like I say, I still listen to your music to this day, man. And I've always been a fan, man. And I want to thank you, man, for giving the brother the chance to get this interview,
Not
kid.
a problem, bro. Anytime, man. If you need some more info, just please feel free to come holler at me.
All right. Hey, LA, hold your book up for him. Show one more time. Listen, y'all go out and get the book, LA Sunshine, A True Story, The Real Accounts. Introduction by Chuck D. Outroduction by DMC.
Yep. This is like I said earlier. This is probably my greatest accomplishment because it speaks to all of my hip hop acumen. I mean, my experiences, as well as all of my personal experiences. That's why it's called A True Story. I tried to kill myself 3 times. To this day, I live with depression. I was homeless. I was addicted to drugs for almost 20 years of my life. There's a whole lot of things in there, and I was able to put it all in the book and speak to it from infancy, you know, being abused as a child, and everything. I put it in there, and it allowed me to purge myself, cleanse myself out, and make me more aware and in tune with who I actually am.
Well, LA, listen, can we talk about some of that?
Sure.
All right. Because I'm a recovering drug addict myself.
Okay.
I've been clean, what is this, April, so I'm clean 28 years.
Mm-hmm. Bless you.
November, December, January, February, March. 28 years, 5 months, and 22 days.
That's what's up.
Okay?
That's what's up.
So I got caught up in that 80s
Right.
cocaine, crack era, you know.
That's it.
Speak to us, man.
I mean, well, I was entrenched in it. You know, the accessibility for that may be I had the worst of both worlds. I mean, I came from a drug environment where, you know, a lot of my friends and family, they sold drugs. I sold drugs to I guess on a fringe way. Now I wasn't a hustler, drug dealer, but I was just always around it in the proximity of people that did. That plus the other part of the world was being in the entertainment business. You know, you being in the entertainment business is on and popping, as they say. That was a recreational drug at the time.
Cocaine.
Cocaine, yeah. Everybody was just sniffing cocaine. I mean, fortunately, I never gravitated to hap. I started freebasing for a little while, and I just, I got rid of that real quick. But I was hooked on coke for over 20 years, 25 years, normally. And I used that as a numbing device for all of the stuff that I was dealing with internally that I speak to in the book. Like, I'm dealing with the depression and truth be told, I don't think I'm from here. That's how crazy my mind is. I don't even think, because if this is what life is, I could do without this. That's how I've always felt that way.
Okay.
So I use the cocaine as a number to just,
LA, now,
detach me from it.
let's talk about, you said that you tried to kill yourself 3 times.
Yes, sir.
Add some color, could you add, because suicide is a huge thing now. And
but it's something, unfortunately, I hope that's changing, and it seems to be changing a little bit, but especially back then, it's not something widespread or largely spoken about.
No, not back then.
Not
it was taboo.
Hood, it's totally taboo.
Ain't no doubt.
For a black man to say that you feeling depressed, average nigga, you better man up.
Right.
And I had conflicting thoughts about that. Like, what is manning up? Like, manning up is being real with yourself. And if I felt like I didn't belong, I felt out of place, not because I wasn't ingratiated by people, just the way life is deemed to be existing. Like, and most people are just existing and not actually living. And as I grew older and started learning and doing research about the inner workings of the people that run this world, like, it was just rather disheartening. So I used it as a numbing mechanism in the days and times that I wasn't able to do that. I let my depression get the best of me. I stabbed myself with an ice pick, took pills twice, and was rushed to the hospital, had my stomach pumped. And it's not something I'm proud of, but
no, but it's real though, man. Listen, we all got stories, man.
I've never had a problem being candid and or real, and I think people's level of real varies according to them, because your real and your truth can only be spoken through your lens. Most people's, you try to generalize what's real. You can't catch now talking about, no, I'm a real G, I'm a real this. You real because that fits your level of reality, but your reality is not the same as everybody else's. And I just think that way, but most people are uncomfortable even expressing or saying something like that because we yearn to fit into what everybody else is doing so bad. Like, you compromise your own truth. How is it your reality if it's based on what everybody else is doing?
And we're so ashamed to show our vulnerabilities, right, man, and our our shortcomings, man. Yeah. I have them. And I'm gonna, if I show them, then I'm being my real me, man.
But the perception of what real is the exact opposite. That's the antithesis.
Man, that's that fake shit, though, man.
That's why. I ask Joey to this day, man. I'm comfortable. Especially after putting all of the words into the book. I'm comfortable with who I am. During that time when I was dealing with all of the demons that I was dealing with, I was not comfortable with who I was. But the book allowed me to be able to be totally comfortable in my skin, and whether I'm shunned, whether I'm frowned upon, or cats dismiss me because I'm articulate, or because I articulate that kind of. I have no problem telling people that I've tried to kill myself. Am I proud of it? No, but it's just part of the fabric of who I am, and if it helps somebody else along the way,
ain't no doubt,
I'm all for it. I've been working with kids for 30 some odd years, so I'd be kidding myself or a contradiction if I wasn't able to share my story and hopefully, guide somebody in a direction that's going to be profitable for them in the long term.
Okay, and in LA, you spoke on molestation?
Yeah. No matter how you cut it, the details and specificity of it was this. When I was in 2nd grade, I think, and I had a babysitter that was watching me, and it's in the book too. It was me and another young lady. She was babysitting us, and long story short, she made me and this young lady have sex at 7 years old. I had sex. I put my dick in a girl at 7 years old, and just to please this other girl who's like 15 or 16, who was always rubbing up on me. Her and her boyfriend, he was getting off while watching us get off. And that kind of like just traumatized me to this day. Like I still feel guilty, like I did something wrong to this day.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, kids, I mean, that shit really don't count, man. In my opinion, man.
I know,
mean,
but it's still, but it leaves a delible impression on you.
Ain't no doubt.
Ain't no doubt. That's something that is a scar that I've carried with me all my life.
Okay.
The young lady Kathy, I remember her name, but I've never seen her again. No telling what that girl, no telling what she went through, even if she remembers it. But just the fact that there's people out there that's willing to do something like that just for the sake of getting a kick off, it put a taint on my perception of what real people are. Because that's just not something that somebody would do. It's just part of my experiences.
Okay, so you still have bouts with depression even up to this day?
Yes.
How are you working through it? How do you work through it? How do you know that, I'm fucked up, I'm depressed? I mean, because I want you helping people, LA. You helping people right now, man, because there's a lot of this is going on, man.
Well, the first my first attempt to deal with it was years ago, over a decade ago, when I went to the doctor and they tried to prescribe me some pills, Zoloft and all that kind of stuff. My gut instinct told me, nah, I'm not taking this. I'll deal with it on my own, and I've dealt with it on my own. You gotta kind of like just tap into yourself. You gotta be real with yourself, because there are days when I'm literally, and I'm like, no, I'm not going out. Why? Because I'm not feeling, I'm feeling heavy. That's the term I use when I'm feeling somewhat depressed. And the triggers are multitudes. The triggers could be literally anything. And if you're not tapped into what those triggers are, it's not safe for you to put yourself in a compromising position. So I learned to deal with it in that regard. For the most part, I'm a loner because it's safer for me. Because I have a very low tolerance for bullshit.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
I got a real low tolerance for
Same
bullshit.
way.
And instead of putting that on somebody else, I just stay to myself. But there are days when my anxiety and depression are heightened to a super level, when I know that that's dangerous for me. For example, if I'm riding, if I'm on a train, or if I'm walking on a place and it's crowded and there's too much, excuse the expression, dumb shit going off, and that doesn't necessarily mean you got to be cats pulling out guns or whatever. My kids hate when I say this, but most humans are dumb. And not dumb intentionally, they just don't know. You're ignorant if you don't know, and most people do dumb shit, and me knowing that my tolerance is that low for it, I remove myself from that place, because it's gonna lead to anxiety and it's gonna lead to depression.
Yo, listen, man, my subscribers, you guys, this is some good stuff here, and I know you know some people that are suffering from depression, anxiety. Share this video with them, and there's nothing to be embarrassed about. There's nothing to be ashamed about. This thing called life is self-acceptance, man, and self-love, and we all have these lives.
But we've gotten so uncomfortable with truth.
I agree.
That cats rather live on the surface than dig down deep.
Right.
Because it's safer and it's comfortable. Like, nah,
well, they watching what they seeing on TV, and they try. Television is cut, edited. Let's do it again. They may shoot a scene 6 times before they get it the way they want.
Tell live vision.
Right, and you can't live your life, your real life, based on what you see on TV or on a music video, man.
No, that's it in a nutshell. Because that's a microcosm of what real life is. That's not. People are flipped it. People try to emulate what they see on TV. And I think that does such a disservice to you. Like, why are you trying to? Because if you just, like you said, TV is fake for the most part. Why would you aspire to be fake? And that's what cats are. And I think collectively, for the most part, and this just not speaking to cats in the hood. I mean,
all over LA,
worldwide,
all socioeconomic backgrounds,
yes,
all colors, races, creeds, and religions.
We become swamped and inundated with the perception of what reality is instead of what reality actually is, and we're more comfortable that way. Because when you speak truth, it's so disconcerting that you make people really uncomfortable. I tell people all the time, the only reason people do what they do is because everybody else is doing it. That's the majority. The reason that most people do what they do is because everybody else is doing it. If everybody's standing across the street right now with white t-shirts on and I'm over here with a black one, I should feel uncomfortable because I'm not part of that.
Follow the follower.
But I mean, and I can't have these conversations with the average cat because I'm perceived or looked at as a nut, or I make you uncomfortable. Because the truth is truth, and most people just are not comfortable with the truth.
Well, you don't make me uncomfortable, kid. In your LA, man, like I say, kid, I've been a fan since I was 10 and 11 years old, and at 50 years old, sitting here looking you in your face, man, I'm still a fan, and I thank you. This is another highlight to my YouTube career. Y'all go out and support black authors. Get in touch with me. Send me an email if you want LA's book. And they can catch you, LA, on social media, on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at
LA Sunshine.
LA Sunshine.
Yeah, and I just want to just say this real quick because I know my perception, I mean, my perspective and ideology is not for everybody. I don't expect it to be. I have no problem with somebody being disagreeable with me on anything that I say. I just say this. We should always be able to walk hand in hand, even if we don't see eye to eye. And I'll leave y'all with that.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace out.